I ordered 50 meat birds. They ship in 2 days, and I have zero infrastructure built. I was planning on getting them in a couple weeks, so I had some time to prepare. I went online to order them, and it was either 2 days from now or the end of August, which wouldn't work for me with my weather. So I took the plunge. They're on their way in 2 days. I have to get everything set up. Good news is, I work best under pressure. The bad news is, all the hardware stores around here are closed because it's Sunday and tomorrow's a holiday. So I'd have to drive about an hour to the nearest hardware store that'd be open, and I'm not gonna do that. So I'm gonna scrounge around out here and use the materials on hand to build some structures. All right, I got the bottom of the brooder framed out. I ran a board across in the middle here because I had the ends of our cedar pickets that I used to build the bed for my greenhouse. I didn't know what I was gonna use them for, and I'm gonna use them for the bottom of this brooder so I don't have to go to the store to get plywood or anything. All right, so the frame's all done. I'm gonna work on getting some chicken wire wrapped around it, and I'm gonna go into my brother's old tiny house and grab some washers out of there because we're out of those. I use washers to attach the wire instead of staples or anything else because if I found it worked really well for the hardware cloth in my chicken coop, and it should work the same way for my chicken wire, so we'll see how it goes. Brooder's done. I'm gonna put some finishing touches on it later, but for now, it's at least good for chicks. All right, I'm gonna change gears here a little bit. Now that I have at least the first thing set up for my meat chickens that are gonna be getting here in a few days, I'm gonna go work on the chickens that I have in my coop. I have 15 chicks that I just moved out here 2 days ago, and I wanna start letting them free range now that they're kind of used to their coop, and I wanna get the fence up and get everything set up for them to do that. The fence is up. The chickens have been in their coop for 2.5 days now, and it's time to let them out. I'm gonna open up the door and see if they come out. Attempt 1 was a failure. I think that ramp was too big. I'm gonna go make a better one. All right, I got the brooder all done and in position. I'm gonna move on to getting the meat shaw started. I'm gonna be using material we have laying around to build it. I'm gonna go get some 2x4s from our pole barn. We just finished up that framing so I can take down the bracing and use those boards. And I have some scrap metal I'm gonna use for the roof, and I'm gonna use some logs instead of buying wheels because those are expensive. It's pouring right now, so I'm just gonna go get the 2x4s and get it framed up and hopefully get the rest later when it stops. The chicks are on their way. The chicks have shipped. I was thinking about it. There's a problem with this brooder I have to remedy, and I'm gonna do that quick and get to finishing up the meat shaw. Okay, I'm done with the brooder. I put some more boards around the edge to kind of keep the pine shavings in a little bit. It was just troubling me last night because I was thinking they were going to make a really big mess, but this should at least keep them in a little bit more. But this is just going to be their home for a couple weeks, and then I'm putting them out on pasture, and I'm thinking in my orchard. So I'm going to get to working on their meat shaw, which is going to be their shelter when they're pastured. Okay, it's all done. I put some handles on the front and it's time for the moment of truth. I'm gonna see if I can drag it over to the orchard. Okay, I dragged the mobile chicken coop over to the orchard. This is where I'm gonna be pasturing my meat birds. I have 50 on the way. They ship today, so should be getting them in the next couple days. I got the brooder done. I just have to put the pine shavings and their water and feeder in there, and then they're ready for that. After a couple weeks, I'm getting them out here and I'm gonna put them into this pasture area. I have an electric fence coming. The idea of pasturing them in our orchard came about because we want to have our birds manure our trees. The plan is to just put some wire fencing around our berries and smaller bushes so they don't get into those, and they just go around our trees and forage around them and drop some manure. So that's where we're at. We should be pretty much ready for them. We might build another transitionary shelter, like out of a cattle panel or something, to maybe put them in before they come out here. But I think we're just gonna go straight from the brooder right out here. They should be safe. They have a pretty good shelter, and I'm really happy with the way this turned out. We just used materials that we had laying around, and we came up with this. And it wasn't extremely light, or it's obviously not gonna be as mobile as something with some wheels on it, but it wasn't really hard to move at all, and I can move it, you know, anywhere I need to out here. And I'm not going to be moving it extremely often, so for how often I'm going to be moving it and what it needs to do, it's pretty much perfect. It doesn't look the best, but we had some scrap steel laying around, so we pieced it together and framed out the 2x4s and the 2x3s and some 1x3s on top, and then put them on logs, and the logs worked out really well. They were moving pretty smoothly through the grass here when I was dragging them, and they're pretty secure, or this whole structure is pretty sturdy. And like my brother and I both sat on it, and we tried to tip it over and we couldn't, so should be able to withstand the 50 birds that are coming out. But yeah, the birds are on their way. They'll be here in a couple days, and I'm excited to see them. Also, my neighbor, where I get my chickens from, she gave me a Spitzhauben pullet and a bunch of eggs to hatch. So I have 22 eggs in the incubator, and I added another hen to our flock here. So I could be going from 0 to 100 chickens almost in less than a month. So that's absolutely crazy, but we have everything built for them. We have the fence on the way to keep them all safe, and so far so good.